What's up, everyone? Welcome to volume 62 of Rise. We're so excited to have you here. If you're new, don't worry about the fact that it's volume 62. We make sure that every new volume is set up so that it progresses from the previous volume for people who have been with us, but it's also set up so that a new person coming in can just hit the road running on day one and not feel like they've missed a beat. So we're excited to have you here, and in this walkthrough video, we're going to give you just a little bit more information about the overall rationale behind the program, some of the details of this month's programming that might be different from others, and just help you feel super prepared going into day one. A couple quick housekeeping things. First of all, make sure that you're in the Facebook group if you haven't joined already. It's called the Rise group. It should have been sent in a link in an email when you first joined. If you can't find it, you can message someone on our team and they will send you the direct link there. But that's a great place to ask questions about the program, to ask for feedback or advice on anything that might be going on with you, and to support your fellow Risers all around the world. Something that we have recently added in the last couple months is a PDF cheat sheet that you can use to print out if you are somebody who doesn't like to always have your phone on you while you're doing your workout. So this cheat sheet can be found in the documents section of the app, and you can download it. Sometimes if you're on an iPhone, I believe it's actually you're not able to download it from the app. You actually have to go to desktop or the web app, but you can download it and then you can print it out if you'd like. You can fill it out there. It's basically just the sets and reps and the exercise name with a link to the exercise demonstration video. I will say, don't use this on week one. If possible, try to start with the app because the app is going to give you a lot more information, a lot more details about what we're looking for with each specific exercise. But then from there on out for the rest of the 4 weeks, if you want to just have that quick cheat sheet, you can download that. And just a couple quick notes about the program itself. When you are looking at it, especially when you're looking at it in the app, there are a couple things I want to note. Number one is that everything is set up in supersets. So you're going to see B1 and B2, where you're alternating between those two exercises, C1 and C2, and so on and so forth. And the reason that we do this is to try to help speed things along. There's a couple different reasons that supersets tend to be more efficient. But if that's not the case for you, if you work out in a busy gym where it's hard to share equipment and you just want to stay in one place for one exercise at a time, definitely feel free to break those up into straight sets. That's totally fine. It's not going to ruin any of your progress or change the program results in any way. So it's totally up to you how you want to do that. And finally, if you're somebody who gets overwhelmed by a lot of written text, you will see that each exercise has a lot of options. It has a lot of exercise variations or a lot of modifications or alternatives if that exercise doesn't necessarily work for you. We want to do this so that everyone has the opportunity to succeed on this program. But if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of limitations, you have all the equipment you could possibly need, then you can just put your blinders on for anything underneath the exercise with the arrow. The exercise with the arrow is the default. So that's the first exercise you'll see. It has an arrow. You can just do that one and not even look below at all. But if you are feeling like that exercise doesn't work for you, you'll probably find an alternative below that that fits your needs better. All right, with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Jason. He's going to go over this month's specific rationale behind volume 62.
All right, welcome to Rise volume 62. So for this volume, we filmed 25 brand new exercises to add to our existing library of exercises. The big story for this month is that it's going to be our deadlift max out. Now, about 3 times a year, we max out one of the lifts, a deadlift, the squat, or the bench, and it just so happens that this month there's going to be an optional max out for the deadlift. Now, there are 2 different tracks depending on which side of the program you're on. If you're on Rise, we're going to go with a strength max out. We're going to go for our 1 rep max repetition. And then on the other side of things is going to be Rise Light, where we're going to go for more of an endurance-based max out. Now, in each volume of Rise, I've written down sets and reps, what kind of warm-ups we should be doing. All the details are going to be written out, but just know that each track is going to be slightly different. And it is optional as well. And I wouldn't recommend doing this if you just joined Rise. You should only be doing this if you've been on Rise for the last 2-3 months or so, because we've been building up to this point. Now, one additional note, if you are on Rise, not Rise Light, and you are partaking in the strength max out, one thing that I really want you to focus on is the number of max attempts that you have when you are maxing out on week 4. So on week 4, let's say you are going for 100 pounds as your first initial set. You're gonna lift that 100 pounds, hopefully you do it successfully, and then from there you're gonna have to try to take a calculated jump. Maybe you take a 5-pound jump, maybe a 10-pound jump, maybe even a 15-pound jump. And let's say you go again and you hit that. And then again, you're gonna have to take another calculated jump. But what I want you to do is stop after you take 4 max out attempts. And I want you to stop if you actually miss a lift before those 4 max out attempts. So let's say on the second attempt, you decide to go up 15 pounds, but then you miss that lift, I do want you to stop it. Even though it feels like you have a lot of energy, anytime you miss a lift, it takes a lot out of you, and it increases the risk for possible injury if you decide to try to push forward ahead again. All right, so just keep that in mind as you're maxing out. You want to be calculated with your attempts. And now between each attempt, I'd highly recommend anywhere from 3 to 4 to even 5 minutes just to give your body full, ample time to rest and then make sure that you have enough power to output for your next max out attempt. All right, if you have any further questions and even very specific questions like what kind of warm-ups you should be taking or what kind of jumps you should be taking, you can post that in the Facebook group and one of our moderators or myself will jump in and help you out, try to figure those details out. All right, now moving on to the rest of the program, just some key things that I want to go over. One focus for the program, especially for the squat and the bench press, is that we're going to go for paused repetitions. All right, so let's say for the squat, you're doing a back squat with a barbell, or maybe even kettlebells or dumbbells. You're going to come down, you're going to pause for the prescribed amount of time. I think it's 3 seconds I wrote down, and then you're going to come back up. All right, so you're pausing at the bottom, but you're not pausing rock bottom and just completely relaxing. You are going to be staying tight here before coming back up. And if you're doing barbell bench press or dumbbell bench press, same concept, you're going to be coming down. If you have a barbell, it is going to be slightly resting on your body, but you're not just letting it completely rest, right? You're staying active, staying tight, hold for a couple seconds, and then press back up firmly and strongly, all right? Now, pause repetitions are great because it's really emphasizing the point in which most people have the most difficulty with that movement. So for the squats, as you're coming down, and then right here, as you're about to come back up, this is typically where people have a difficult time. By holding here, you're getting stronger, you're getting positional strength in order for you to then bust out of plateaus and get stronger and continue on with the program at a rapid clip. Now, another key component of this program are going to be partial repetitions. And partial repetitions are basically, let's say you finished off a set of 10 bicep curls and you've gone to failure. What I want you to do, if I notate that you're going to be doing partial repetitions, is after that 10th rep of curls, you're completely basically gone to failure. You're lowering back down. You definitely can't do another full repetition, but you could do some partial repetitions. So you might be able to go up to about here. I want you to eke out as many partial repetitions as possible. Even if you go like a couple inches or so, go to failure there, and that's when the set ends. We expect anywhere from 4 to 6 partial reps or so, depending how experienced you are with them. But those partial repetitions induce a lot of muscle growth because there's a ton of stress and blood flow going into that area. All right, and the final key component here is going to be a lot of different moves from unique positions. So we have movements like side-lying lateral raises, we have deficit Bulgarian split squats, we have windmills with a wide base, reverse crunches with a rotation, so all sorts of different unique angles and positions that you might not be used to or accustomed to, and just targeting different angles can really help change the stimulus and make you feel these exercises even a little bit more. So we're experimenting with a lot of different angles and positions, so I think you'll like that and have a little bit of a brain challenge as well. And of course, along with all the new exercises, all the novelty that we bake into Rise, still about 60 to 70% of Rise typically stays about the same each month. There's always going to be squats and bench presses and deadlifts and lunges and push-ups and pull-ups, all the staples that you expect from a sound strength and conditioning program. But then we also layer on some of the new stuff, some of the fun stuff to keep training interesting, to keep switching things up, making sure that your body doesn't plateau. And by combining both of those principles, that's what makes Rise really special and makes it exciting each and every month. So hopefully you enjoy New Program Day. I'm gonna give it back over to Lauren, who's gonna go over some of the exercises in the rest of the days.
All right, for day one, we wanna go over the approach jump or the approach jump to box. So these are the power development moves for day one. And something that we see in strength and conditioning programs a lot of times is very rigid movements where you're kind of stiff and you're doing everything perfectly. And it's nice for developing power, but sometimes it can create a little bit too much stiffness or you can be a little bit too robotic in your movements. So this is meant to actually break you out of that a little bit. We don't want to do the same perfect steps and swing and jump every single time. We actually want you to be a little more fluid and a little more free with it. So you can even come at it from an angle, do a couple steps, and jump. And each time it's okay if your one foot's a little in front of the other, or if you step with a different foot. We just want to create a little bit more freedom in this movement, but still create a lot of power with each of those jumps. All right, for day 2, I want to go over the wide base windmill. So if you're familiar with windmills, typically the way that they're taught is with the feet pointed forward to start, and then we just do a quick little rotation there, and we try to sit back into that hip, keep the back leg locked out, and only bend the front knee. And what we've realized over time is that there's some benefits to doing it this way, but it really does feel very restricting on the hips, and it's hard to really sit back into your hips with this positioning. So we like to try to change it up a little bit and do this wide base stance instead, which is going to be basically your feet at 90-degree angles. So one foot facing forward, one foot facing out to the side, and then you're gonna be able to bend both knees and feel like you have a lot more freedom to sit into that hip and get a little bit deeper into that windmill. And now we have 3 different options for you for which way you want to do this. So the first one is a deadlift. So for the windmill deadlift version, you're going to start with it right at the arch of your foot, and you're going to shift your hips back and just trust that your hand is going to get there. So you're shifting back, your hand's going to get to the weight, grip it, pick it up, stand tall, and then again, focus on shifting the hips back, try to get it to and repeat. So that's the deadlift version. Then there is the version where you're holding the weight overhead. So you're gonna press the weight up and you're just gonna keep it up overhead. You're gonna do that same movement pattern, but now you're just holding the weight overhead and you're not picking up the weight that's underneath you. And then finally, the last version is combining the two. So you have that weight back down by your foot, shifting, picking up the weight, standing up, and then repeating. So definitely recommend starting with just the deadlift or with just the arm overhead before combining the two, because it does become a lot more complicated, but you will notice a lot of benefits and you're really gonna notice yourself being able to sit into those hips a lot more than a traditional windmill. All right, and the last move I wanna go over is for day 3, the loaded flowing weight transfers. So this is gonna be a little bit different from, like at face value when you look at it, it might look like a speed skater, but a traditional speed skater is more of a push and land, push and land. You're thinking about a lot of power from each leg to leg. This one is a little bit more flowing, a little bit more smooth, and we're thinking about just doing some more quick transfers and being a little bit more loose with your body so that you can actually move side to side a little bit more quickly and change direction more quickly than a traditional speed skater. And we can do this forward and back as well, or side to side. If you don't have a medicine ball, you can use a light kettlebell or a light dumbbell as that weight to help you transfer from side to side. All right, so that's what we've got for you for volume 62. We're so excited to do this program right alongside with you. We'll see you in the Facebook group and have a great time.